this is very selfish and greedy. But what can you do about it? If you think they're doing it in a mean-spirited way, you can poison their well by spreading the truth to everyone you know. But I think that will come back on you, because when the financial system collapses, everybody is going to suffer. Money will be worthless. Prices will skyrocket. So it's in your interest to keep this quiet too. If this thing is up there, you're going to be able to see it soon. And since it is being pulled in by the sun, you can look to the sun for signs of it. Are there any signs of it now visible? I hate to tell you this, but yes, there are. And those images are put out by the government. They're called SOHO. S-O-H-O. SOHO means stereo images. And do they show it? You betcha they do. Nancy Lieder's webpage, zetatalk.com, shows you the pictures of this winged system. I can't call it a planet because it's not a planet. It's a constellation. It's a star with 7 planets going around it. If you believe that he watched it coming in for decades with his buddies in the CIA. I just think it's an interesting video. Actually, it's an audio. The only thing you get to see is a red star, fiery hot, millions of degrees, and that's what he reports. How does Nancy Lieder know that those images are NIBIRU? All the drawings of NIBIRU so how does Nancy Lieder know that this object is coming in? Because she has gray friends. They're not from around here. They flew in on a flying saucer, like so many other visitors that have been coming here for thousands of years. And you can find the proof in all historical documents, wall drawings, photos taken by Billy Meyer and the group of 25 witnesses who lived at his compound and saw the spaceships coming in for decades. There are even photos from India taken at the ashram where Billy Meyer lived in the middle of the 20th century. I think I saw images from 1964 or perhaps 1956. I can't remember. At about 40 seconds into this audio video with the insider says that he was very excited about the article and he showed it to his family. The article said, "A 3-mile wave is coming in," and his family said, "Don't worry, it's not for another 50 years. And then he says, that 50 years is come and gone. And so the listener is thinking, hey, we're here, folks, if he's right. At 1 minute and 14 seconds into the video, he says, they've been watching it, referring to the CIA. And then he stopped and he said, I watched it. Now that is not hearsay. That's first-hand testimony. I watched it. This is not a man speaking in the third person. He said, I watched it. How did he get access to uncensored streaming images from the Hubble Space Telescope? He has friends in the CIA. This shows you that the CIA are the privileged class and you are a dirtbag. They're better than you. They deserve the safety of underground bunkers, and you don't. You deserve to die. You deserve to pay for those underground bunkers with your tax dollars. Now, isn't this a fair system? Why hasn't anyone else in the CIA come forward to tell us about this upcoming catastrophe? Don't they care about us? Well, if they did tell, they might be dead by now. Dead men don't talk much. That's why the CIA kills them. Are you catching on? These bankers are serious about protecting their assets. And they would even kill to keep this quiet. This is not about protecting the people or warning the people. The people are dispensable. This is about money. Money is and always has been much more important to bankers than human lives. And those at Goldman Sachs and Morgan Chase and other Illuminati-held assets are more important than your butt. When they ask you, how's the weather up there, you tell them it's windy. They believe the world is overpopulated and they would like to trim down to about 500 million, which means they want to kill 13 out of every 14 human beings on the planet. Now, why would they want to tip you off and tell you the truth? If you don't have an underground bunker, you can't survive on the surface. That's why the elite built the bunkers in the first place. And they built them with your money confiscated by the IRS, if you want me to be blunt about it. Have you noticed how much more desperate the IRS has become lately in the last decade as this thing got closer? They took everything the people had. They figure the assets you have are better off in their underground bunker than in your house on the coast, because your house on the coast will not survive anyway. So in a way, it makes sense to put the money underground. And so the IRS has been extremely aggressive, to the point that people thought that they have insatiable greed. I'm putting most of this in the form of questions to get you thinking, because I can't do your thinking for you. And Channel 7 is not going to do this for you either. They're going to tell you what to think. It's not going to be in the form of questions. They're going to give you statements which are lies, and when you get wise, you're going to say, I realize that this is propaganda. All media is owned and controlled by the same insiders who are allowed to know that NIBIRU is coming in, as evidenced by this man's report, and some have even watched it on the Hubble Space Telescope, like this insider who has a heart and decided to tell us. This secret government controls the puppet president because they appointed him to that office, and he obeys their commands. They told him to ram the health care bill through, and he followed his orders. Now they have direct access to your veins and your parents, so they can kill them off when they can no longer pay the IRS. Then they passed the law that government can kill Americans even without charges. Can you see the handwriting on the wall? Why did all of these things happen? It makes sense when you add NIBIRU to the picture. The IRS getting aggressive, the passing of these laws. They want to be able to get rid of people because they're going to die anyway. Now, if you were in charge and you knew that billions were going to die, wouldn't you want to get rid of some of them ahead of time so you can incinerate the bodies? I believe they're killing Americans right now and incinerating the bodies. And I think that's the reason why you don't see homeless on the streets. Because there should be millions. If there are 50 million on food stamps, there should be another 150 million homeless. And I think we're beyond saving lives. I don't think they have any interest in saving our lives. They don't need the population in the first place, and there's no place to put 5.6 billion refugees. So they created this Galactic Federation of Light, and they told the people that a duplicate planet to Earth was created on the opposite side of the sun, so we can't see it. Now, is that a tall tale? Talk about a nutcase. Whoever the guy was that came up with that concoction, there's your nutcase. There's your tinfoil hat. And some people are stupid enough to believe this. I believed it, so what does that make me? Never mind. Don't answer that. Let's move on. Well, if there was a duplicate to planet Earth, don't you think it would have water? Why wouldn't that duplicate planet be just as susceptible to tidal waves as this one that we live on? They also told us that aliens in ships would evacuate us. This is another lie. What's the point in lying to us? They need to stall our reaction to NIBIRU by giving you false hope. If most of the population thinks they're going to be rescued, what are they going to do? Absolutely nothing. And what do these controllers want the people to do? Absolutely nothing. They want you to stay on the coast until the last day, and then they'll pick you up. And when they don't, you're going to be screaming, "Hey, what about us?" And they're going to say, "Sorry, suckers," just like they always do. They want to give you false hope. And if you think aliens are going to save you, forget it. They're playing you like a piano, man. This is like jazz. You know what I'm saying, man? They play you like you was a piano, man. Read the Sheldon Neidl webpage, PAO.com. POW, like powerful. POW, PAO.com. And go to the bottom of the page and click on updates. You can go back 6 years and read everything that they've ever put out. It's all propaganda. It's all baloney. Every single report sounds like they're going to land on the earth tomorrow and you're going to be saved. They're going to give you lots of money and they're going to give you devices that make free food. You're going to fly around in anti-gravity craft. Hey, don't laugh. I believed it. I believed it for years. I was telling everybody we're going to be rescued. It's funny. Those people never believed it. They were smarter than me. So read those reports on the Sheldon Neidl page and tell me if you weren't being played or the people who read them weren't being played. I'm telling you, they play us all like we were piano heads. Is it okay if I call you Piano Head? Just a friendly reminder. Mr. Piano Head, and if it's a woman, Ms. Piano Head. We should all remind each other that we've been had. We've been played by the secret government. This insider comes out and tells us, hey, I watched it. It's real. Do you believe him? Listen to his testimony and tell me if you think he's speaking from actual experience or if he's the greatest actor since Al Gore. At 1:23, he describes this object as a solar system with planets. He talks about the debris or the trash around it. And he says the CIA told him that the average dust particle weighs 70 pounds. It's made of iron. And when this constellation comes passing by Earth, it won't be any closer, he says, than about 20 million miles. But you know, the sun is 93 million miles away. And if this sun comes by, it's going to get pretty hot here because he said it was millions of degrees hot. I think that's going to scorch the earth. I think it's going to burn a lot of things. And there are predictions that say just that a third of the earth would be burned as this thing comes whirling around. But what happens is the earth gets locked into position with this thing because they're both magnets. And so it probably only scorches one side of the earth. But if it is a star, a blazing hot star, and it comes within 20 million miles of Earth, it will be almost 5 times closer, or 1/5 the distance of the sun. And if the sun came in that close, it would burn everything up. I don't know how much heat this thing has, but it has 5 times the mass of Earth, according to some scientists. Anyway, this guy says these 70-pound rocks are going to rain down on us like hail. I have never been hit with a 70-pound iron rock falling from the sky. Have you? But I think that if hail can dent a car, I'm talking about ice hail, little tiny balls that land on the hood and they dent it, or they break the windshield. If ice can do that to your car with little tiny golf ball size rocks of ice, then what would a 70-pound iron rock do that came in from space and is traveling about 10 kilometers a second? I think it would damage homes and buildings, cars, trucks, farm equipment, tractors, barns. Everything you need to survive should be damaged. It'll wreck all the satellites. As it comes in, it's going to hit those and they're going to shatter. Because space is very cold. Something moving like a bullet that fast hits cold metal, it will probably shatter it. I don't know. I'm not a metallurgist, especially one who specializes in space. But the temperature out there is very, very cold. Like 400 degrees below zero, something like that, Fahrenheit. And if that satellite gets hit with a rock, it's going to break it. It's going to render it useless. And so all of our communications are going to be destroyed. So it's going to be pretty rough on the surface. But if you got a nice cushy bunker, you'll be okay. Can you suck up to anybody in the CIA? Tell them you need one of those passes desperately? Try to save one or two of your kids, too. If a farmer's tractor is destroyed, how much food can he grow for you? If a manufacturer's plant is destroyed, how long will it take him to rebuild it if there's nobody providing resources? The whole system collapses. The whole civilization is destroyed if we get rained down on with 70-pound rocks. He says there are trillions of them. He saw them. So how long does it take to repair a factory if you have no raw materials? If the sources of all those materials is also destroyed, how long does it take to rebuild? I'm sorry to ask you these disturbing questions. I'm trying to be positive. Here's what's positive. You're going to die. Knowing the truth might help you prepare. And you have two choices, to know the truth or not know the truth. If you choose to know the truth, don't blame me. I'm not bringing you the news. This guy is. Blame him. Don't worry, he's probably dead. But he says if the planet is pelted with 70-pound rocks, everything will be destroyed. And the Earth is made up of tectonic plates, and they're being pulled by the gravity of NIBIRU. And so we're having a lot of earthquakes and volcanoes. Nancy Lieder told us that we would be having a lot of volcanoes long before we had any volcanoes. And she said that every volcano that's gone off in the last 10,000 years will be going off again. And I've been watching them, and it's turning out to be true. And a lot of other predictions they made are also proving truthful. So the Nancy Lieder webpage, I think, is a good source of the truth. And that's why the government wants to close them down. If there's a very strong pull of gravitation from a large object, do you think it's going to affect the moon and pull it out of orbit? People are reporting that the moon doesn't look right. It's in the wrong place. When Venus recently crossed the sun, they said it was 10 minutes late. What does that tell you? Do you think that these guys are off by their calculations by 10 minutes? Nancy Lieder's most recent webpage says it was 10 minutes off. And that means that Venus is being pulled out of orbit a little bit. 10 minutes is not the end of the world. NIBIRU is. Now that happened on June 5th and 6th, 2012. And today is what, the 10th? It's Sunday. If the moon and Venus are being pulled by this thing, then what about the satellites? Those have a very delicate orbit. And if those are pulled out of orbits, we're going to lose them. Some will come crashing to Earth vacated. Everything will be wiped off the shelves because people will realize they're going to need supplies. And they'll buy everything. Water, soft drinks, flour, pasta. They'll buy everything. And they'll pay whatever they have to. The stores will double and quadruple their prices, and they'll get it because money will be worthless. An entry on a ledger will be worthless. You go to the bank and draw out all your money and go to the store and the prices are out of reach. Your money can't buy anything. So we need to look at what this guy is saying and ask, is this real? We need to look at Nancy Lieder's webpage and look at the Soho images and say, is she right or is NASA right? She says that NASA's airbrushing all of these things out and they can't keep up because there are too many images to airbrush and they make mistakes and they leave some in and then the cat is out of the bag. Don't you wish you had an underground bunker with food and water and supplies like those guys in the CIA, those wise guys? Those cities are 1.5 to 4.5 kilometers down, and there are hundreds of them. They're called DUMBs, Deep Underground Military Base. And if you're not invited, it's too bad. I guess only the beautiful people are going to be able to survive this. If it's true. They took a television camera and they went down and they interviewed some of the guards to these underground facilities. And the guards said they will kill anyone who approaches the entry. They'll do what it takes to keep you out. So you're not going to crash their party. They have armed guards ready to kill. Life on the surface will not be sustainable with all the crops destroyed, all the means of farming destroyed, and winds of 300 miles an hour that will wipe out anything that survived up to that point. The hail of rocks weighing 70 pounds each will have its toll on our civilization as well. Everyone should be asking, is this guy telling the truth? I wish there was a positive way to present this to you, but sometimes the truth is not so positive. What would you like me to tell you? That this is going to be fun? Camping out? If this was going to be fun, they wouldn't have to hide the truth from you. What did you think this was going to be? A hurricane? A tornado that you can hide from? Where do you go when there's a tornado? You go to your basement. Well, what if it's going to be a really big tornado? Then where do you go? You need a DUMB, Deep Underground Military Base. And that's why they were built. They only had 50 years to build them, and they did okay for the elite. But if you didn't get your pass by now, it might not be coming at all. So what can you do? You're already doing it. You know what I mean? I mean, if you've been in the dark, stay in the dark, because ignorance is bliss. Capiche, paisano? If you don't know anything, just keep it that way and don't panic. If you see something in the sky and you finally figure it out, rejecting the secret government's explanation, then you probably won't be in a panic for very long, because by that time the passing of this collection of planets and a sun, as the insider describes it, will be brief, and you can enjoy your life along with everyone else right up to the minute when everything is blown away. Put on your headphones and turn on some jazz, piano jazz, and enjoy what little time you have left, Mr. Piano Head, because by that time there is no more need for preparation. The stores will be empty when you see that thing in the sky, and there will be no hope of those stores ever being restocked again. Money will be worthless anyway. An event like this will cause financial collapse, and pieces of paper with numbers on it, currency denominations, will be less useful than toilet paper. Toilet paper will have more value than your dollars. Prices will skyrocket as shortages prevail. If you have a stock of beer, get drunk before someone puts a gun in your face and takes it from you. The insider said the thing he saw had 7 planets and its own sun. Is he right? He was using the Hubble Space Telescope and watching it with CIA buddies who were telling him the science of these things as it was coming in. Don't you wish you were in this insider club? Well, you're not, but at least you have his testimony, and so you're not entirely left out.